Good evening to all of you. This is Gohar Talks tonight, and we are here with Brittney Nichols from New Orleans, USA. Welcome to the show. Brittney, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. I'm very well. Okay, how are things in your state
So
because of this?
I'm in North Carolina actually. So I'm on
Okay,
the East Coast of the US,
okay,
also in a major city. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
okay.
We've been hit pretty hard with the coronavirus. But we're getting through it, hopefully soon. How are
Okay,
you?
great. Let's hope everything is uh, finally over and we go back to our normal. This new normal is not that good.
True. Yes.
Okay, let, let's start with your introduction, your early childhood. Where were you born and where did you spend your early childhood?
So I was born and raised and am still living in North Carolina. I'm an only child, so that was very interesting for me. I always wanted siblings, but my parents decided, no, she's enough. So I was raised primarily around adults and a very, very small family. It was my parents and my father's parents, which were our neighbors. So we grew up on many acres of land that were passed down through the generations. So probably my fondest memories were just exploring the outdoors. We had a stream and a lake and a lot of woods and fields. So I spent a lot of time outside. And when I wasn't out, I was typically helping my dad or my grandfather with carpentry work, or with my grandmother in the kitchen baking cakes.
So that was probably a pampered kind of a child, Brittney, going through early childhood.
Yes.
Or was it a challenge because there were no other siblings or young ones to play around with, and you have to listen to all the adult talk and all those big elders, and to sit with them and mingle with them? Was it a challenge or was it good experience?
It was a challenge, but at the same time, I'm grateful for that time that I had with my grandparents and with their friends, because I grew up very quickly. I feel like I was more mentally mature than my peers, but with that came challenges, because when I did go to school and interact with my peers, I wasn't on the same level as them. I didn't really know what to talk about because I was around adults all the time. So it was challenging to integrate with the people that were my age. But at the same time, I had an alternative perspective of life, listening to the stories of my family and their friends. So I'm thankful for that. I learned a lot through that.
Good, good, good. And where did you go for your college, your high school, college? Where did you go for that?
Well, I don't know if it's a funny story, but I really didn't think that I was going to attend a university. Okay. During early childhood, I struggled immensely in early education. I was a terrible student. I made poor grades. And I think a lot of that was because I didn't have a lot of self-esteem. And I was told very early on by teachers that I had attention deficit disorder. I wasn't able to pay attention. Several teachers told my parents that, not everybody's meant to go to college. So all of this input that I was getting from people around me told me that I just wasn't college material. And I took that on inside myself and told myself that this is all I'm going to be, right? High school, get my diploma, and then start working. But my parents, they never went to get a higher level education past high school. And they knew what a struggle it was in their life, and they wanted better for me. So they said, no, you're going to college, even if it's a community college, which I don't know if that's what you call them where you're from, but it's a 2-year technical school. And so I started at a community college, and education, ironically, the place that I struggle with the most is the degree that I wanted to obtain, mainly to help other children that struggled like I did to gain that education. During that process, I had a panic attack, somewhat of a mental break in that 2 years that I was there. And I said, I can't do this. I'm not able to complete this. And so I left with an associate degree in education. And several years later, after working in corporate and I did a few factory jobs on the side, I realized, you know what? My passion is psychology, and that's what I want to pursue. I know it's going to be challenging to do this. And I went back and I changed my mindset. That was the different experience this go round, is the mindset shift. I can do this. I'm going to do this no matter what it takes. And I did. And I graduated with honors. And that moment is when I realized that our thoughts and our mindset create our reality. And that's why I started to pursue my business, is because those were holding me back, and they're holding a lot of people back.
So how tough it was when your teachers labeled you as not the college stuff, or you have a focus or attention seeking syndrome, or whatever those bad words they were using, and they were just trying to not to motivate you but to discourage you. So it must be very tough on you being a teenager and you trying to break into the practical world, and there were so many showstoppers. So how did you cope with it then?
At first, I accepted it. And unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of people do. I don't know about other countries. I can't speak for other countries, but here in the US, I feel like we put a lot of labels on things, which hinders us from trying to achieve beyond that, because we set this ceiling for ourselves and say, well, you know, I have this disorder and this is just it. Like, I can't do anything beyond that. We don't see alternatives. We don't see other resources. We have this mindset that if it's not within me, then I can't reach out to anyone else to kind of help me achieve the goal that I'm looking for. And the moment that I had that mindset shift, it wasn't really from myself. At the time, it was the person I was dating who came in and saw me crying, trying to study, and said, "What is wrong?" And I said, "I can't do this." And he told me, "You know, I'm tired of hearing you say that you can't when I haven't heard you try." And that's when it clicked. I really wasn't trying. I wasn't giving it my all because I thought I didn't have everything to give. So during the time that these people were telling me this, these teachers, I just threw in the towel. I gave up. I just gave up. It wasn't until later in life when somebody told me, "You can do this," that I tried.
Yeah, that's the dilemma. That's the tough part of the things, that people label these youngsters or even adults with their mindset, with their belief system, and they think they cannot, whereas it is a part of commitment which is lacking on their part. Once they decide and they give 100% commitment, then things change, and then the belief system turns into a new reality. Whatever you had to that particular point in time and you thought you cannot do it, but once you decided you can do it, then nothing was impossible, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Great. So from college to psychologist and then running a business. Now you are writing books, right? Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
So tell me something about your upcoming book. I'm very excited to have in my hands. So I have to wait till September, right?
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, so I have been eager to write a book for a couple years now, since I had that awakening, if you want to call that enlightened state of, wow, there's this whole new world now. And it was all based on a mindset shift. So I decided to write a book. It's called The EQ Deficiency. Because studies have shown, I know you are well known in the area of emotional intelligence, so you know that about 90% of society lacks emotional intelligence. And it's not because you are stupid. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a skill set that is not valued in our school systems, at least not here in Western culture.
Yeah, it's more of a grading system. They grade you for what you have read and what you have memorized. So exactly. It's a memory test rather than your emotional coefficient or your social skills.
Exactly. It's very surface level at this point. Do this, then that, right? And this is how you are supposed to act. And we never internalize anything to say, well, why should I feel that way? Why should I behave this way? And so my book, The EQ Deficiency, talks about the state that we're in right now. Why are we seeing so much turmoil in society, so much hate and conflict and frustration around altered beliefs? And what can we do about that? And it all starts with educating ourselves about emotional intelligence and also having genuine understanding and compassion for others. Because we can educate ourselves all day long. We can read books, we can apply techniques, but if we don't genuinely have that compassion and desire to really understand someone else, then we're never going to get there. We're never going to be a whole person. And I think it also starts with compassion for ourselves as well. Because I couldn't have compassion for others until I had compassion for myself.
Exactly. Unless you know your emotions, you cannot know other people's emotion. And unless you help yourself and you overcome the challenges, you cannot help others.
Exactly, yes.
Exactly. So what are your life ambitions, dreams, the biggest dream of Brittney Spears? Brittney Spears or Brittney Nichole?
Although when I was 10, she was one of my idols, but not anymore. Nothing wrong.
So you weren't singing that song, Baby One More Time?
No, thank you. I did that enough as a child. I've that. My ambitions are totally different now.
Okay.
I would say, I mean, if I had to go grand scale, I would say change the world. Don't we all wish we could change the world? But we can. There's so many people who took it upon themselves to really give their all into the thing that they truly believed in. And they did change the world. Now, they may not have seen that change while they were alive. It may have been a decade after their passing. But we shouldn't give up on our dream just because we may not see the product of that. So I want to spread the information and enlighten people about mindfulness and our mindset and compassion and understanding for others, and doing that through emotional intelligence and effective communication strategies.
Great to hear that. So if we take into today's scenario, the current situation, coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, how do you think the people interacting with each other and how it's affecting their mental health and their physical health when they are in a lockdown situation? They are living in an apartment 24 hours and they were used to working like 12 hours a day and then maybe in the apartment for 12 hours only and taking 8 hours of sleep in that, and then maybe the social interaction was a couple of hours as compared to 24 hours. So how much is this of emotional stress on people and relationships?
Yeah, I think it definitely varies from person to person and relationship to relationship, who you're living with. And also, are you a person who enjoys socializing? Or are you a person who is more comfortable being with yourself? I think there's many variables within that situation, but a common experience that I think the majority of people are having that they share is high levels of stress and anxiety from this. And that when we are in that state, we cannot express the same performance or compassion or all these positive elements, right, that we need to move forward past this. Because when we are in a heightened state of stress and anxiety, we are in self-preservation mode, and we become very focused on us. And so
the reptilian mind kicks in.
Yes. The reptilian mind kicks in, the limbic system kicks in, and we enter that state of emotional hijacking where we cannot rationally process things. And all of that energy is going to our outer extremities instead of our brain, right? Because we're in that fight or flight mode. So I would say first, we have to find a way to get out of that chronic state of anxiety and stress. And that is where resilience comes in. So you have to find sources of energy to renew the energy that you are losing before you can focus on your career, before you can focus on your family, your relationship, any of that, right? So I would recommend for people, whether it's taking a walk, listening to some calming music, meditate. For people who are religious, maybe that's praying for them, whatever it is for you, finding that energy renewing state. So that way you can kind of reflect on how you're feeling. Because when you're in that state, nothing makes sense, nothing's clear. It seems like it's going to last forever. So then once we are in that energy renewing state, we can address those unpleasant emotions we feel, whether it's worry, fear, anger, whatever it may be, and say, well, what is the need behind that emotion? If I am worried, what am I worried about? And what is the need behind that worry? Maybe it's, I need to know that I'm going to have a job after this, or I need to know that I have a way to feed my family. And then addressing that need and saying, okay, how can I meet that need? Because I think so many times we get lost in the things that we can't control, that we forget that the things that we can control, like our thoughts and our behaviors, are key at that point. And then when we address that, then we can move on to working on external parts like work and family. And in terms of relationship, because I know that's what this discussion is about, I've heard a lot of people say, I'm so tired of being cooped up with my spouse for all these hours, or my kids are just running around the house and driving me nuts. And many of the issues that we are facing are issues that have already existed within our relationship or within our works. They're just heightened and we can't escape them. So we need to bring attention to that.
Exactly. And probably when we are not aware of all those which are at the back of our mind, we are not coping with them, and we are just ignoring all those signals. And as they say, your body is talking and you are not listening. So exactly. That is exactly what we go through. And then there is an emotional download, and then it causes a lot of stress in relationships.
Yes.
If you continue to live in a heightened state of anxiety or chronic stress, it is very detrimental to your health. And this chronic stress leads to weakening of the immune system. And then everything either shuts down or go below its peak performance level, and then it creates more problem. And we go into that crazy 8 situation. So we are into stress or anger, and then we are oscillating between these two. That's the unfortunate part. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. the feedback. It becomes a cycle. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So if you are given a chance as United Nations ambassador for happiness or health and wellness, what would be your message and what would you like to do on a global scale if you look at it from that perspective?
I think I would stress the importance of seeing the reality beyond our perspective. We have become so egocentric as a society, focused on me. And I think we need to bring it back to us. We are one organism. All of humanity works together. And right now we're really sick. We are one organism that is very sick at the moment. And to become healthy, we need to start working for each other instead of against each other. Because right now it's just like cancer cells all over the place. We're turning on one another. And I would want to bring people together because I think that the reason that we're so distant from one another is because we don't understand one another. We don't take the time anymore to get to know the other person. We assume that we know each other because we're all connected now through the internet, but it has actually divided us even more because there's so many false assumptions out there. So I think we really need to reach out to people that we don't have an understanding about and get to personally know them. So Abraham Lincoln and to someone once you really get to know their story.
Exactly. Beautiful quotation and beautiful talk. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Nichole, it was a pleasure to have you on Gohar Talks tonight, Coffee with Gohar, and it was a pleasure. Stay home, stay safe, and let's together we come out of this current situation, the pandemic. We reach out to people who need our assistance, who guide. We as torch bearers responsible to deliver and reach out to people who are looking for some light in this time of darkness. So wish you all the best and take care. Thank you very much, Brittney. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Umar, very much.